Hi, and I am Kate R. from Intrepid English, and today, this Friday, with Ask Us Anything, I am going to finish our reporting verbs, our reported speech series, and this is the final part on the final reporting verbs that I would like to talk about and their verb patterns. So in the last video, I talked about the first 8 verbs and their verb patterns. And so now I'm going to talk about the following 6 verbs, and also then how to make them negative. Okay, because these verb patterns are really useful, and these verbs are really useful for reporting different ways of speaking in English, what we're saying in English. So the next verb is to promise. So this is to tell somebody that you will definitely do or not do something, and that something will definitely happen. So the verb pattern is promise plus to infinitive. He had promised to arrive early. Okay, we also promise plus someone plus that, if we need that, plus clause. So he promised him that I wouldn't do it again. I promised him that I wouldn't do it again. That makes more sense. Number 10 is to recommend. This is a really useful verb. It's to tell somebody that something is good or useful and that somebody would be suitable for a particular job, for example. So the verb pattern is recommend plus verb ing. I recommend visiting the British Museum while you're in London. Or we can say recommend plus that plus clause. I recommend that you visit the British Museum when you're in London. The next verb is to remind. Okay, so this is what I do on a daily basis with my husband. It's to help somebody remember something, especially something important that they must do. So, for example, to remind, the pattern is to remind to someone, to plus infinitive. She reminded him to take his keys. Literally every day I have to remind my husband that. The other pattern is to remind someone that plus clause. They reminded me that there was a party tonight. The next verb is to suggest. That is to put forward an idea or plan for other people to think about. So the pattern is to suggest plus verb ing. I suggest leaving soon. Or we can say suggest plus that plus clause. I suggest that you come as soon as you can. Not I suggest you to come, okay? I suggest that you come as soon as you can. Okay, the next one is to warn. This is a really good one. So to tell somebody about something, especially something dangerous or unpleasant that is likely to happen so that they can avoid it. So it's to warn plus someone plus to infinitive. I warned them not to go in the water. Warn plus someone plus about plus something. She warned us about the dangerous roads. The next verb is to admit, to agree, often unwillingly, that something is true. So for example, the pattern is to admit plus to plus verb ing. I admit to being strict with my children. Or we can use a clause, admit plus that plus clause. They freely admit that they have a lot to learn. The last verb I want to talk about is to order. Now, this is not talking about to order food and drink in a restaurant, which is definitely one meaning. Here, I want to explain the meaning of when you use your position of authority to tell somebody to do something or that something must happen. So, for example, it's order plus somebody plus to infinitive. He ordered them to fire. Or order plus that plus clause. The court ordered a psychological report to be prepared. He ordered his daughter to put on her shoes. Yeah, that's a daily occurrence here as well. Now, when we're talking to make these verbs into the negative, and that we want to make the verbs that we have report negative in the negative sense, we need to look at the verb pattern. So when there's a clause, we make the negative in the usual way. Okay, so for example, if there's a clause, let's think back. So they freely admit they admit they have a lot to learn. That's not quite a great one. Let's try a different one. Okay, so she insisted that she didn't like ice cream. Okay, so she didn't like ice cream. There's the negative. But where there's a to plus infinitive, we generally put not before to. So for example, he promised not to do it again. Or when there's a verb ing, we generally put not in front of the verb ing. I advise not taking the bus. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And if you have any questions, I hope you will comment below so that I can answer them, or when I post this video in our group on our community page on the Intrepid English website, please feel free to ask any questions. If you have any grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation that you would like me to discuss, please feel free to ask your question so I can answer it in another live. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful weekend and see you soon. Bye.